the twilight of existence, when time itself begins to shudder beneath the weight of finality, the most defiant being to ever walk the unseen corridors of creation finds himself standing before a truth he had long denied. Iblis, the accursed, the one who once stood proudly among the ranks of the jinn and dared to defy the command of the Most High, now senses that his era of manipulation is drawing to a close. For countless generations, he whispered into the hearts of humanity, spinning lies of endless time, of false hope, of promised pleasures that led only to ruin. He fed the illusion that there would always be another chance, another breath, another tomorrow. And now, in this moment of absolute truth, he tries to believe those same lies once more. But they crumble like ash in his grasp. He had mocked the warnings of the messengers. He had scoffed at the certainty of death. He had declared with pride that he would outlast all, that his delay until the day of judgment would be his victory. But what he did not expect, what he could never admit to himself, was the fear. The trembling that now grips him is foreign, terrifying. It is not the fear of punishment, nor of pain. It is the fear of finality, the fear of standing utterly alone before the inevitable. His arrogance, which once towered like a mountain, now collapses in on itself. The mighty voice that thundered in rebellion now barely echoes as a whisper of dread. There is no more defiance in his eyes, only the flicker of disbelief as the shadow of death stretches toward him. In the end, the deceiver has deceived no one more thoroughly than himself. He truly believed he could escape this moment, outrun it, outsmart it. But death, silent, patient, and unwavering, has come for even him. Iblis bolts through the unseen dimensions, moving faster than any mortal eye could follow. His form, once cloaked in pride and power, now quivers with desperation. He tears across the earth, the skies, the realms beyond human comprehension, seeking refuge where none exists. Each step he takes is fueled by a frantic hope that maybe, just maybe, he can find a crevice in creation where death does not reach. But even as he moves, he knows. Deep within, beneath the layers of deceit and delusion, he knows the truth. There is no sanctuary from the decree of Allah. He streaks through the barren deserts, the dense forests, the storm-racked oceans. He flies over crumbling cities and forgotten ruins, places where he once stood triumphant, whispering false promises into the ears of kings and slaves alike. But those echoes are gone. The world does not respond to him now. The ground does not quake at his presence. The air no longer bends to accommodate his passage. All of creation is turned silent, waiting, watching, as the great deceiver flees the fate he always told others could be ignored. His heart pounds with a rhythm he cannot control. Every beat is a reminder that time has run out. He claws his way into the depths of the earth, into forgotten caverns and ancient hollows. But he finds no peace, only the oppressive stillness that foretells judgment. The angel of death, unwavering and unmoved, stands there too. Not speaking, not chasing, just waiting. Always waiting. He ascends to the skies, attempting to tear through the fabric of the heavens, hoping to reach the celestial gates he was once permitted to eavesdrop near. But the heavens are shut. The stars that once shimmered with cosmic elegance now burn with an intensity that rejects his presence. He turns back, his form a blur of motion, racing across dimensions, but every path ends in the same sight. The angel, immovable, watching with eyes that have seen the departure of countless souls. And now, for the first time in his existence, Iblis feels something deeper than fear. He feels hunted, not by an enemy who hates, but by a force that simply is. A servant of the divine will. The angel does not need to strike nor threaten. His presence alone is the sentence. Every whisper Iblis ever uttered, "You still have time, you'll live to see tomorrow," returns to haunt him. He told mankind to delay repentance, to enjoy the world, to forget their end. And now, he is alone with his own advice, repeating it to himself as if it could bend reality. But death does not wait for liars. Death answers only to truth. He races to the east, cutting through wind and shadow, a blur of speed and dread. But the moment his feet touch the earth, he sees him again. The angel of death, still as stone, waiting with a gaze that pierces dimensions. Panic grips Iblis like chains around his throat, but he does not stop. He pivots and hurls himself westward, the landscapes tearing apart in his wake. The mountains he passes crumble under his fury. The skies above darken, but it is all meaningless. For there he is again, the angel, unmoving, untouched, inevitable. With fury now overtaking fear, Iblis plunges into the oceans, sinking deep beneath the waves, into the crushing silence of the sea's heart. Not even light dares follow him there. But still, he cannot hide. Even in that depth, even in the cold embrace of the abyss, the angel stands, calm, present, final. He thrashes against the waters, rising like a storm, breaking through the surface with a scream that splits the air. He streaks into the sky, past the clouds, past the realm of birds and rain, pushing beyond what the eyes of man have ever seen. He reaches for the heights where angels once gathered in praise, where the scrolls of fate were guarded. But the gates are sealed, the guards are gone, the heavens are closed to him. He roams the earth again in desperation, crossing continents, fleeing through deserts and valleys, haunted by the echo of his own fate. The world itself offers no help. The trees that once whispered his lies are silent. The winds that once carried his deceptions no longer move. Even the jinn, once his army, are nowhere to be found. They do not come to his aid. They cannot. For every place he arrives, every shadow he enters, the angel of death is there. Not hunting, not pursuing, just present, like the truth he spent eons denying. Then it begins to unravel within him. The pride that held him upright starts to fracture. He realizes, with dreadful clarity, that he is not being chased. He is being awaited. The angel is not moving because he has already arrived. Iblis is not ahead of death. He is merely circling the inevitable. The realization hits him like a collapse of stars. There is no corner of creation left untouched by divine command. There is no crevice deep enough, no height far enough, no illusion convincing enough. He has run to the edge of existence, and there, too, stands the angel. The air around him thickens. Reality itself seems to bend as the moment approaches. Iblis stands on trembling ground, surrounded not by fire, not by fury, but by something far more terrifying: certainty. He who once challenged the decree of Allah, who laughed in the face of warnings, now finds himself stripped of all illusion. The angel of death no longer stands still. He advances. There is no sword drawn, no thunderous command, only a silent, unstoppable approach. Each step carries the weight of eternity, each moment a witness to divine justice. Iblis roars in defiance. His voice, once capable of shaking the hearts of men, of corrupting generations with a whisper, now sounds hollow, desperate. He calls upon the earth, the skies, the flames from which he was born. Nothing answers. He summons the jinn, demands their loyalty, but none appear. His dominion has crumbled, and with it, the illusion of control. He curses the angel, spits fire into the void, declaring that he will not be taken. He claws at reality, tearing through dimensions in a final furious display of power. But the angel is unmoved. He does not flinch, does not speak. He merely reaches out, as commanded. With every fiber of his being, Iblis fights. He twists and writhes, his form shifting in and out of shadows, each movement more violent than the last. He has never known surrender. Even when cast from the heavens, he stood tall in rebellion. But this is different. There is no audience to impress, no creature to deceive, no throne to claim. There is only him, and the one who has come to end what was never his to prolong. The resistance is wild, but it is futile. The angel of death was created not to debate, not to argue, but to obey. And then with a single gesture from Allah, the order is given. The angel reaches forward. Not with anger, not with hatred, but with divine authority. In an instant, the soul of Iblis is taken. The universe reacts. The stars seem to flicker. The earth lets out a sigh, and a silence follows so absolute it feels like the very breath of existence has stopped. The deceiver is gone. The voice that tempted Adam, that led empires to ruin, that whispered pride into prophets and peasants alike, is silenced. His reign has ended not in war, but in inevitability. And in that silence, the world is left to reckon with what it always knew, that no creature, no matter how cunning or proud, escapes the decree of the Almighty. With Iblis gone, the weight of his absence echoes through the fabric of creation. It is not relief that follows, nor celebration. It is a stillness that deepens into something cosmic, something eternal. The deceiver has fallen, yet the world continues, lurching forward toward its own end, as if the final act had already been set in motion. The angel of death, having fulfilled the most fateful command, does not rest. His task is not complete. His eyes now turn not toward the rebellious jinn, nor the corrupt among mankind, but toward the very pillars of existence itself. The stars begin to dim. One by one, they flicker out, not with a violent explosion, but with a quiet surrender, like lamps being gently snuffed out by unseen hands. The galaxy stops spinning. The elegant dances of planets and moons lose their rhythm. Gravity stutters, light loses direction. The laws that once bound reality together begin to unravel, and all of creation, vast and ancient, begins to crack along the seams of divine intention. Mountains crumble into dust as if they never held firm. Oceans hiss and steam as they boil into clouds of smoke, then vanish. The sky itself tears like fragile fabric, its once grand expanse now stripped of color and motion. Scientists had long speculated about the end. They wrote papers and debated models, a slow freeze where the universe expands into lifeless silence, or a crushing collapse where all matter returns to a singular point. Some imagined another explosion, another beginning. They peered into the stars, hoping to read the fate of everything, but they never accounted for the voice behind it all, the will of Allah. Their graphs and formulas carried hints of truth, fragments of reality, but they were blind to the decree that transcends their equations. The Quran had already spoken of it. The sun extinguished, the stars scattered, the heavens split, the earth leveled, all foretold, all inevitable. What they called entropy, what they labeled cosmic death, was never random. It was deliberate. The unraveling was not a glitch in the system, but the execution of a promise. And so it unfolds. Everything that had a beginning now meets its end. Every leaf, every cloud, every atom is erased from the record of existence. The cycle of birth and decay is concluded. Life, which once teemed with movement and breath, is now memory. The earth no longer spins, for there is no sun to orbit. The skies no longer thunder, for there is no wind. Time itself has stopped. There is no past or future, only a present that leads to nothing but silence. Above it all, the angel of death ascends to the highest realms. There, the noble angels await: Jibril, bearer of revelation; Mikael, distributor of sustenance; Israfil, keeper of the trumpet. Each stands still, aware of what is to come. And one, by the command of Allah, even they surrender their souls. The messengers of light, the stewards of the divine plan, are no more. No wings beat in the heavens, no voices sing the praises of the Most High. The last breath of creation is held by the angel of death himself, and when his time comes, he does not resist. He bows his head and carries out the final order. His soul is taken. The last servant departs. Now all that remains is Allah. No angels, no stars, no planets, no people, no sound, no echo, nothing but the one who has always been. Alone in the silence, he calls out, "Where are the kings? Where are the tyrants? Where are those who claimed power, who defied me? No voice answers, no army stirs. The pharaohs, the emperors, the proud, all gone. Their palaces, their monuments, their treasures, dust upon dust. And then a voice fills the void, not from any mouth, but from the divine himself. I am the King of Kings. I am the everlasting. I am Allah. And in that proclamation, everything is confirmed. There was never power but his. There was never permanence but his. There was never life nor death except by his will. In the wake of utter silence, when even time has ceased to breathe, a presence remains, vast, eternal, watching over the empty shell of what once was. The angel of death stands alone, the final sentinel of existence. No creatures stir, no voices echo, no stars shimmer in distant skies. All that lived has returned to the unseen. All that moved has been halted. But the task is not yet complete. One final order remains. The angel lifts his gaze toward the heavens, toward the sublime ranks that once teemed with angelic light. There, in the highest realms of obedience, stand the mightiest of Allah's creations, Jibril, Mikael, and Israfil. They do not tremble, they do not speak. They stand in perfect stillness, knowing what is to come. They, who carried out the divine will without pause, who served across eons with flawless precision, now await their final submission. There is no rebellion, no resistance, no plea. They are the essence of obedience, and their surrender is as noble as their service. Jibril, who bore the revelation to the prophets, whose wings once spanned the horizons of creation, bows his head. With the command of Allah, his soul is taken. His presence, which once brought light and guidance, fades into the unseen. The one entrusted with the sustenance of every creature, Mikael, follows. The rains he once guided, the winds he once directed, all have ceased. His task is complete, and with divine permission, his spirit is lifted. And then Israfil, the angel who held the trumpet, whose breath was destined to shake the very fabric of reality, he too stands ready. The trumpet is silent now, its purpose fulfilled. The call that shattered existence has passed, and Israfil surrenders to the command of his Lord. One by one, the honored ranks vanish. The heavens, once adorned with angelic song and movement, fall quiet. No wings stir, no praises rise. The angel of death now remains the last thread holding creation. He has watched the world begin and end. He has lifted the souls of prophets and tyrants, of saints and sinners, of men, jinn, and beasts. And now, with his final breath, he completes the circle. He turns to his Creator, awaiting the last command. It comes, not with thunder or fire, but with the stillness of authority that cannot be challenged. Without question, the angel of death takes his own soul. And in that instant, the universe reaches its conclusion. There is no more life, no more death. Nothing exists but Allah, eternal, unshaken, absolute. The silence that follows is not simply the absence of sound, it is the absence of everything. No wind stirs, no stars burn, no time flows. Creation has been folded into non-existence, and the void yawns wide and eternal. Yet within this vast emptiness, a presence reigns beyond comprehension. Allah, the Eternal, remains, alone, as he has always been, independent of his creation, unaffected by the rise and fall of worlds, unbound by time or matter. And from the center of this immeasurable stillness, his voice rises. Where are the kings? He calls into the void. Where are the tyrants? The ones who ruled with arrogance, who oppressed my servants, who raised themselves in pride against my command. The question echoes, not through air, for there is none, but through the remnants of what once held form. There is no answer. Not a whisper returns. The pharaohs who built monuments to their own glory have crumbled into nothing. The emperors who conquered nations lie forgotten. The dictators, the warlords, the arrogant, all have vanished without a trace. Where are those who claim divinity? Who fashioned gods with their hands and bowed to them? Who dismissed my revelation, rejected my messengers, and mocked my signs? Still, the silence prevails. There are no idols left to shatter, no altars left to burn. Every false god has disappeared. Every voice of denial has been extinguished. Power, as they once knew it, has dissolved into dust. Thrones have no meaning, wealth has no weight, and armies have no form. Then, in a declaration that shakes the foundations of the unseen, Allah proclaims, "I am the King of Kings. I am the Everlasting. I am the Almighty." It is not a statement of introduction, but of reminder. He was always this, even when the creation forgot. Now, with no one left to defy, no veils of illusion, no delusions of grandeur, the truth stands clear. There is none but Him. And though creation has ended, His presence remains, timeless and infinite. The universe lies in absolute stillness, not the quiet of a sleeping forest or the hush before a storm, but a silence beyond sound, beyond sensation, beyond comprehension. There is no time here, no movement, no ticking of seconds, no rising or setting of suns. The very concept of motion has been erased. Where once stars pulsed and oceans whispered, now there is only a void so complete it feels like existence itself is holding its breath. And yet, within this void, something remains, something unseen, untouched, waiting. Every soul that once lived, from the first breath of Adam to the final whisper of the last human, now rests in Barzac, the realm between death and resurrection. Their bodies have returned to the earth, to the sea, to dust. But their souls linger, aware, suspended in a reality no mortal can imagine. For some, Barzac is peace, a garden from the gardens of paradise, where they lie in comfort and serenity, cradled by the mercy of their Creator. For others, it is torment, a prison of fear, of darkness, of deep regret. Each soul exists in accordance with what it carried in life, yet all share one thing: anticipation. They wait, not with eyes, for they see nothing, not with ears, for they hear nothing, but with a knowing so profound that even in this motionless pause, they sense what is coming. The prophets knew it, the righteous hoped for it, the wicked feared it. The moment promised in every scripture, whispered in every graveyard, written in every divine decree, the moment of return. Above, the heavens are empty. No angels descend, no voices rise in praise. The celestial realms that once thrummed with obedience are still. All creation has obeyed its final command. Only Allah remains, watching, knowing, waiting, for the time He has appointed, the time when silence will shatter and every soul will rise again. From the depths of the void, where silence has ruled and all existence has faded into nothingness, a sound begins to stir. Not a sound in the way humans understand it, but a tremor that pulses through the very bones of reality. It begins as a distant echo, something ancient yet new, familiar yet terrifying. And then it happens. The trumpet is blown. The first blast is not a call to attention, it is a command to unmake. Whatever fragments of matter still held shape are obliterated in an instant. The ruins of stars disintegrate. The memories of galaxies collapse. The dimensions themselves fold and fall apart. The very fabric of creation, woven with divine precision, begins to tear. Space no longer stretches. Time no longer ticks. What remains is not just death. It is erasure. The universe is not simply silent, it is undone. The first blast leaves behind a void deeper than any that came before, one untouched by even the concept of existence. And then, when the emptiness seems absolute, when all has vanished and even the notion of life feels like a distant dream, the second blast comes. It is unlike the first. This time, it is not a destruction, but a revival. A call issued by divine will, cutting through the void with purpose. In a moment that defies understanding, creation is rebuilt, but not as it was before. A new earth emerges, smooth and endless, without mountains or valleys, without oceans or forests. The sky above it is neither day nor night, for there is no sun, no moon. Only the light of Allah illuminating everything with a brilliance that casts no shadows. Graves split open across this new world, and from their depths, the dead rise. One by one they emerge, confused, trembling, unsure. Their eyes blink against a light their souls remember but have never seen. They do not speak, but their faces speak volumes. Fear, awe, and realization. They know what this is. The warnings they once ignored now rush back with force. The stories of prophets, the verses recited in prayer, the words written in books, they were all true. Men, women, rulers, beggars, saints, sinners, they all stand the same now, naked of status, stripped of power. There is no crown, no throne, no gold, only hearts beating with dread, waiting for what comes next. The resurrection has begun, and judgment is no longer a distant promise. It is the next breath. The ground beneath their feet does not shake, yet no one can stand steadily. The resurrected millions look around at the endless plain that stretches in all directions, smooth and featureless, offering no place to hide, no landmark to cling to, no shelter from what is to come. The air is thick, but not with dust or scent, with awareness. A weight presses on every soul, a knowing that the moment they spent their lives fleeing has finally arrived. The day of judgment is here, and there is no return. Above them, the sky begins to change. It cracks, not with thunder, but with a light so intense it feels as if it pierces straight through the soul. The resurrected shield their eyes, but it is no use. The light is not of this world. It is a light that reveals everything. From the torn sky descend the angels, countless and majestic, in rows upon rows that stretch to the horizon. Their wings do not flap, but they move with divine grace, perfect in order, unwavering in purpose. They do not speak. They do not glance at the humans below. They are servants in motion, descending to prepare for what no one can delay. And then it happens. The throne of Allah is brought forth. It does not descend with spectacle, but with a presence so mighty that even the ground seems to bow. The sight of it causes the proud to collapse, the defiant to tremble, the wicked to sob in despair. Every tyrant who once stood tall with chest out and chin raised now crouches like a beggar. Every voice that once boomed with arrogance is now caught in the throat, unable to utter a sound. Hearts pound with the fear of reckoning, with the weight of what is about to be revealed. Before each soul, a record is presented, not a scroll of vague memory, but a precise, living document of every deed, every word, every thought. Nothing is missing. Every injustice whispered in secret, every kindness forgotten by others, every missed prayer, every moment of repentance, it is all there. The truth is laid bare. No lawyer to argue, no bribe to offer, no friend to shield. They stand alone, exposed before their Creator. For the believers, those who strove to please their Lord despite their flaws, there is trembling hope. They know they made mistakes, but they also remember the tears shed in sincere repentance, the nights spent whispering forgiveness, the hands that gave in charity when no one was watching. They stand in fear, but they do not stand in despair. For others, the arrogant and unrepentant, the record is a chain around their soul. They cry out, pleading for a second chance, begging for a return to life, vowing to do good this time. But it is too late. Time ended the moment their souls were taken. Faces turn pale. Some shine with light, others darken with shame. All eyes lift to the throne, waiting for the judgment that no one can escape. And so, as the souls stand in the light of truth, stripped of illusion and surrounded by the echoes of eternity, the final reality is clear. This is the moment all of life pointed toward. The deceiver has fallen, creation has ended, and now every soul must face its Creator, alone with its deeds, its intentions, and its faith. There is no more running, no more denial, only justice, and the everlasting truth that Allah alone remains, sovereign over all that was, all that is, and all that will ever be.